So CIA, oh yeah, like I said, oh damn, I didn't have the article header up here. But like I said, this is written by TJ Coles in the Gray Zone. I'll drop the link in the chat for to the article once I get through this part of the article. But yeah. So CIA covert operations goal kill Russians. And he's about to expound upon that. In addition to the overt but under or non-reported events outlined above, the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency has run a covert 8-year training program. Why the need for covert ops in the face of extensive overt projects? The CIA specializes in assassination, proxy warfare, psychological operations, and false flags. This suggests that their efforts include tactics prohibited by the Geneva Conventions, because the United States always follows the Geneva Conventions, always. Nah, that's a lie. As Obama said, oh, we tortured some folk. Who cares though? That's literally like when it comes to the world order, international law thing, the rules based order, as these fucking Western clowns like to call it. All that basically means is like we get to do whatever the fuck we want, but you abide by the rules that we say you have to, unless you're one of our allies and we say you don't have to, because then you don't have to. But if you're China, Russia, Iran, Syria, you guys you cannot break international law. It's the morally it's morally repugnant. It's the bad thing to they like to shame countries, and a lot of the time, as he detailed here, they specialize in false flags. We saw it in Syria with the chemical attacks, psychological operations. We all know about MK Ultra, proxy wars, Afghanistan. The whole war between them and the Soviet Union. It was a proxy war. Same thing with Vietnam. But so yeah, like when it comes to international law, the United States and the Western allies, they wipe their asses with international law when it suits them. But when it suits them to uphold it, to make other countries look crazy or look bad, that's when they invoke it. So the United States is full of shit, along with most of the other Western powers. So yeah. Yahoo News reported that in 2014, under a doctrine called covert action funding, a small select group of veteran CIA paramilitaries made their first secret trips to the front lines to meet with Ukrainian counterparts. The training was conducted by the CIA Special Activities Center, which suggests that even if the officers were ex-CIA and special forces, they were given access to Langley at high levels, making it a de facto official mission. Now, I'm going to detail it more because we're actually going to go into that Yahoo News article, because they're basically like, it sounds like they're like applauding them for doing it. Thank God the CIA went in and helped the Ukrainians defend themselves from the Russians, because whenever the CIA goes places, they do it for the sanctity of that country's sovereignty. They do it to help the country. Everywhere the CIA goes, the country they're helping usually turns out good. But imagine if the Chinese CIA, I'm drawing a blank on what they call their CIA, but imagine if they were doing shit like this in Mexico, or Canada. Could you fucking imagine? Like literally, I remember it was like a couple not too long ago. There were like these conservative like channels and conservative types of people saying, "Oh, China's, they have troops on the border, da da da, this, that, and the third." Like shit like that. You feel me? Sorry about that. I thought I heard something. They were losing their fucking minds over shit like that. But when it comes to other countries, oh, it's not a fucking problem. We're just gonna do it. This is what I try to explain to people. You know, Even people that want to call themselves rational, people that are looking at it unbiased. You're not. There's no both sides in this issue. There's no Russia's imperialist and America's imperialist. No, the imperialist power is the United States. Russia isn't expanding its borders to the United States. It's not expanding into fucking Europe. It's just not happening. I don't know, and that's what like infuriates me about a lot of Americans. They look at this from a very American point of view, because deep down, whether they're conservative, whether they're liberal, even some libertarian types, and definitely progressives, they want to cling on to this, you know, they claim, some of those people out of the people I just listed, more of like the progressives and the off conservative types. uh they like to claim, they're anti-imperialists and things like that, but they're not down for the American exceptionalist stuff, but deep down they really are. They still hold on to it. Liberals still hold on to American exceptionalism, definitely, and progressives do as well. We saw Sam Cedar admit, he calls himself a liberal. Honestly, to me, or he calls himself a progressive. Honestly, he sounds more like just a run of the mill fucking liberal. In his debate with Jackson Hinkle, he straight up told you what it was. I don't care. I don't care about the State Department getting more funding. I don't care. So that's the liberal motto. God, I don't care I don't care about the State Department and the CIA who conducts, fucking evil ass nefarious shit around the world. I don't care if they get more funding, but God forbid if you misgender somebody. Shit like that. They focus on the identity politics. That's all, and that's all they got. That's literally all they got. So, and then when it comes to conservatives, you already know what it is with them. They're anti-war, and it depends what type of conservative you're talking to, whether it's the establishment conservative types, or you have the Trump, the Trump conservative crowd. Like the Trump conservative crowd claims they're anti-imperialist, but let the right word come along, when it was Iran, or whether it was China, they were all gung-ho for a war with them. So, America likes its flavor of American exceptionalism. Americans like their flavor of imperialism. Americans like their flavor of tyranny. We're definitely seeing the Democratic Party inflict its tyranny on the American populace now. But let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago when the conservatives crafted the mass surveillance state that we have now. And that's not me. I'm not trying to play like the both sides issues, conservatives are bad. And so, nah, I'm just spitting facts. That's just what it is, bro. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the niggas doing it. I'm just telling you what it is and how I see it. Cause it's like motherfuckers, like Democrats are in charge right now. So those are the people that we definitely should be shitting on them. But let's not pretend like conservatives, Republicans are any better. And I like to say conservatives because the whole Democrat, I'm not voting no more. I forgot who I was talking to the other day. I'm not voting no more. I voted for Howie Hawkins in the last election. Come to find out, that motherfucker's just a fucking lying ass motherfucker too. Election rigging piece of shit too. So electoral politics ain't gonna cut it. So I'm kind of done with it. So that's why I don't talk, Republicans and Democrats and shit like that. I talk about the stories when they're necessary, but that's just not my ball game anymore, personally. But when it comes to a lot, when it comes to the American exceptionalism stuff, deep down, there's like most Americans, no matter how much they say they're anti-imperialist, no matter how much they say they're anti-war, deep down, it's still there. It's not as, expressive as other people. It's not to the amount of like, name your favorite American exceptionalist. I don't know. Name them. I don't, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, whatever, what the fuck ever. Ron DeSantis, those types, it may not be that, but deep down it's still there. You feel me? Like China's bad because China's against America's interest. I recently went on, I called in, and there she goes barking. Give me 1 second, guys. Just give me 1 second. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. My dog heard somebody walking around upstairs and started losing her mind. But yeah, so deep down that American exceptionalism is still there, and that's not me trying to condemn and shit on the American people. I'm not. I think media is partially to blame for it, and brainwashing and propaganda. Like that's why when I explain, when I explain actual world history in a non-biased view, people think I'm they, oh, you're just sucking cock for Russia, or you're sucking cock for China. I'm just telling you what it is. Like NATO expansion is the reason why we're seeing what's happening in Ukraine happen in Ukraine. Like you have conservatives that are running around towing the or not necessarily conservatives, but independents who claim, they skew conservatives, that are running around calling Putin a dictator, like running around calling Xi Jinping a like it's bro, it's insanity. It's insanity. Um most of these people can't point out these countries, Americans can't point out these countries on the map. And that, to me, that is a product of brainwashing and also a failure of the public education system. But it's a mixture of both of those things. So, it sucks to see Americans get duped again, into tribalism, basically. Like, and you'll see it all the time. They'll do the same spiel. I'm so over, the partisan politics, the left versus right thing, but I'm totally voting for Democrats because the other guy's bad, or I'm totally voting for Republicans because they're both going to fuck you. You're either going to get fucked with a red or blue condom. You're just picking a different flavor. That's all you're picking. If you vote, you're picking which condom you want to get fucked with. Like for me, I got fucked with a green condom. Yo, by Howie Hawkins. My mic has been acting so weird. It keeps like turning down by itself. I don't know why. Still doing it right now. Sorry. So you're gonna hear. I think maybe I have a short in my wire. I might try using a different wire. I don't know what's been going on with it. But yeah, so that's my that's my opinion on that. I forgot how we got to talking about the political divides going on in America, but let's get back to the article. So Yahoo News reported that in 2014, under a doctrine called covert action funding, a small select group of veteran CIA paramilitaries made their first secret trips to the front lines to meet with Ukrainian counterparts. The training was conducted by the CIA Special Activities Center, which suggests that even if the officers were ex-CIA and special forces, they were given access to Langley at high levels, making it a de facto official mission. So I clipped out some of the parts in the Yahoo article as well. Like I said, once I get through this, I'll link these two articles down below, the Gray Zone article and this Yahoo article. I may just link the Gray Zone article because the Yahoo article is linked in the Gray Zone article. So I know I just said a lot of it's like articles. It's like the inception of articles. It's an article within an article. Where's DiCaprio when you need him to wake up from these articles? I don't know. But this is written by Zach Dorfman on March 16th, 2022. So let's get into this. Ukrainian snipers had a problem. Russian forces in eastern Ukraine were trying to blind them. As the Ukrainians were looking through their scopes in order to find their targets, the Russians have begun pinpointing their locations using the glare of the glass and were shooting high-energy lasers into them, damaging the snipers' eyesight. The two sides were squaring off in close proximity in early 2014. Russia had already invaded and annexed Ukraine's Crimea Peninsula. Shortly thereafter, pro-Russia insurgents in the eastern Donbass region began a grinding secessionist war against Kiev. So what they don't tell you is that the government had just got overthrown by a bunch of fucking neo-Nazis and far-right fascists, and the people in the Donbass region didn't want to exist under a government ruled by fucking Nazis who hate them because the Nazis hate the Slavs. They go by the they adhere to the Bandera ideology. Stepan Bandera, who was a fucking Nazi collaborator for a Ukrainian Nazi, basically. So they didn't want to be ruled. This is insanity, bro. This is insane. The fact that they don't mention that in the article is journalistic malpractice, in my opinion. This is why you can't trust a fucking thing the media says, but people pick and choose when they want to listen, to the media. It's insanity, dude. It's really insanity. If you're getting your news from the mainstream media, you're misinformed. I know that Denzel has that famous quote, but I just like one half of that. And again, my mic, man. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna have to figure this out soon because it's fucking annoying. But moving on, Russian troops soon entered the fray, and so quietly did the CIA. Now, no, that sounds ominous. It sounds like he's about to slam the CIA. Nope, it was kind of celebratory what he was saying, in the article. As the battle lines hardened in Donbass, a small select group of veteran CIA paramilitaries made their first secret trips to the front lines to meet with Ukrainian counterparts there, according to former U.S. officials. CIA paramilitary soon concluded that in Russia and its proxies, the agency was facing an adversary whose capabilities far outmatched the Islamist groups that the CIA had been battling in the post 9/11 wars that they also created. We learned a lot real quick, says a former senior intelligence official, including about the Russians' laser blinding techniques. They're also fighting with them in Ukraine right now. Again, they don't tell you this shit. They call gray zone conspiracy theorists. Gray zone, they tell you what it is. This is insanity. The fact that have been battling in the groups that they fucking created. How do you think they knew how to find them? You think they just looked in the fucking magic ball? Oh, we're just gonna find them. They know these people. I don't know why my mic keeps doing that, guys. I'm sorry. God damn it. I may have to stop the damn stream and change the cord. I'm gonna try and get through this story before I do that. Moving on. The Ukrainian military has claimed to have killed 3 Russian generals, including at least one reportedly eliminated by sniper fire. Yet Yahoo News cannot independently verify whether the Russian commanders were killed by CIA trained troops. That's something you should probably fucking know. That's something you should know. Dude, this cheering of Ukraine ubiquitously is very scary, in my opinion. At least some of the fierce resistance by Ukrainian forces has its roots in a now shuttered covert CIA training program run from Ukraine's eastern front lines. Former intelligence officials tell Yahoo News. They're bragging about it. That's literally what they're doing. The initiative was described to Yahoo News by over a half dozen former officials, all of whom requested anonymity to speak freely about sensitive intelligence matters. I always have a hard time pronouncing that word. Anonymity. The program was run under previously existing authorities for the CIA and did not require a legal determination for the agency, known as a covert action finding, according to a former national security official. Jesus fucking Christ. As part of the Ukraine-based training program, CIA paramilitaries taught their Ukrainian counterparts. Now, no, this is what the United States is fucking doing in Ukraine. So this is not advocating for peace. This is not, and again, this is during the 2014 time period, as he's going to, as TJ Coles is going to describe, when we get back to his article. But this is what our government was doing in Ukraine for 8 fucking years. CIA paramilitaries taught their Ukrainian counterparts sniper techniques, how to operate U.S. supplied Javelin anti-tank missiles and other equipment, how to evade digital tracking the Russians used to pinpoint the location of Ukrainian troops, which had left them vulnerable to attacks by our artillery, how to use covert communications tools, and how to remain undetected in the war zone while also drawing out Russian and insurgent forces from their positions, among other skills, according to the former officials. So they're literally admitting to what they did in places like Afghanistan, what they did in places like Syria, training these moderate rebels. They're admitting it. Before the war broke out between Russia and Ukraine, give it like 2-3 years ago, they would have called you a fucking Trump conspiracy QAnon person for saying shit like this. Literally, they look at you like you're crazy when you say shit like this, and it's just out there now. They the same thing with Hunter Biden's laptop. The same thing with pointing out that Russia didn't, or Julian Assange wasn't affiliated with Russia. They just say shit and make shit a crowd strike turns out to be funded by the DNC. Hillary Clinton funded that dossier. It was paid for by the Clinton campaign. Like they did. This is what happens when you allow media to decide and dictate what's truth and what isn't. When you have a corrupt bought media, and again, it's the liberal media doing it now, but conservative media was doing the same shit when it came to Iraq. And when it came to all of Bush's wars, they were doing the same. They did the same thing with the Contras, with Reagan. They did the same shit. The media is corrupt, and you see Fox News calling people Russians for pointing out basic facts about the war. I'm going to have to Oh my god, man. First day back streaming, I'm having problems. I'm thinking what I could try to solve it. 'Cause I think the mic's on the bitch one. Yep. Hang on, guys. Because it's really annoying me. Wait 1 second. Come back. Wait 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. Hopefully we can get through this goddamn story now, man. Fuck. Technical difficulties. But yeah. So, they're like I said, could you fucking imagine if they were if Russia was doing shit like this in Mexico? Could you imagine if China was doing shit like this in Canada? They would lose their shit. So continuing. As part of the oh yeah, got through that. All right, bet. Let's move on to the next slide. U.S. officials previously denied to Yahoo News that the CIA training programs were ever offensively oriented. The purpose of the training and the training that was delivered was to assist in the collection of intelligence, said a former senior official. Whenever the CIA tells you something, it's bullshit. Until now, however, the details of the CIA's paramilitary training program on Ukraine's eastern front lines have never been revealed. This initiative, say former agency officials, has helped battle hardened Ukrainian special operations forces for the current Russian assault, which has plunged Europe into its worst conflict in decades. So, getting back into the Gray Zone article, one operative is quoted as saying that the officers attempted to Talibanize the Ukrainian. You can't make this shit up, dog. You cannot make this shit up. In the sense that the Afghan Taliban had no sophisticated hardware that was vulnerable to enemy blinding. Ergo, basic non-tech warfare training was required. The report says that the trainers taught their Ukrainian counterparts sniper. That's what I just read to you. In addition, one former senior source said, paraphrased by the reporter, the agency needed to determine the backbone of the Ukrainians. The question was, are they going to get rolled or are they going to stand up and fight? So, who tends to have backbone, i.e., a ruthless and psychopathic fighting spirit? Fascist and ultra nationalist Nazis. Indeed, it has been widely reported by even U.S. corporate media that the Ukrainian armed forces and paramilitary units were infested with fucking Nazis, and not just the military, the government as well. Today, the same media referred to the Nazis as mere nationalists. Beginning 2015, the CIA's ground department arranged for Ukrainians to be trained in the United States South. The operations continue to the present and have been expanded under Biden, under the Biden administration. I believe I saw one and Huntsville, Alabama. I know they mentioned that. TJ Coles mentioned that earlier in this article, that one of the bases where they trained them at was in Huntsville, Alabama. So they're bringing Ukrainian Nazis here into America and training them and shipping them back over to fight Russia, to fight a proxy war against Russia, to die, to die, which they're fine with doing. If you heard I think he was the Ukrainian like police chief or something like that, and he's a member of like the C-14 gang. He brought up the fact they're willing to die for their ideology, but the problem here is that they're drawing the warfare into civilian areas. They're fighting from they're literally like turning people's bedrooms into active war zones. They're turning children's bedrooms into active war zones. Scott Ritter had a great point about this, is that once a soldier steps in and starts shooting, like starts sniping at soldiers or shooting mortar, I think mortar shells. I'm not very well military versed, so let me know if I'm wrong about that. But when they're shooting shit out of buildings, basically, you turn that building into a target by the Russian that the Russians are going to fire upon. Now, look, I am anti-war. I am anti-war. I'm anti-imperialist, which is why I wouldn't say what Russia's doing is imperialist. I do believe this is a move that Russia decided to make out of defense, because if you realize that they've been trying to settle this situation diplomatically, when it specifically when it comes to Ukraine, they've been trying to solve it that way for the past 8 years, and when it comes to the NATO situation, they've been trying to rectify this diplomatically forever, since the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 90s. And the United States has basically been telling them to go fuck off. What are they left to do? That's the question. Aaron Matei said in one of his interviews that they could have flexed their muscles when it comes to basically saying if you guys don't sit down at the table with us and we come to a decision, we're going to turn the gas lines off. We're going to turn the gas off to Europe and the fuel off, and we're going to cut fuel trading with Europe. He could have done that, but now but that would have fucked them over in the end, because look at the maneuver they used to combat the sanctions against them. They basically went to Europe and said, hey, if you want to buy our oil, you want to buy our gas, our natural gas, you have to use fucking rubles, because you motherfuckers went and committed economic warfare on our country and decimated our currency. Well, guess what? Fuck you. If you don't want to freeze in the winter or next winter, you're going to pay us in rubles, bitch. And that was a move that they had to make when it came to that. So again, like the United States is the aggressor here. Russia is not the aggressor. The United States and NATO is the aggressor here. That's what I feel like people aren't understanding, aren't getting through their fucking brains. You have the fucking shit libs who are high off of Hillary Clinton's farts that aren't going to hear any of this shit I'm saying. But even the conservative people and anti-war progressive people, like, just they're lizard for progressives. They just think, oh, human rights. Why? The same reason why they ate up all the Uyghur Muslim bullshit that the State Department was feeding them. They call people like Max Blumenthal genocide deniers for pointing out obvious flaws in the data when it comes to the Uyghur stuff. And you got Sagar and Jetty out there fucking slob in the State Department when it comes to China. But yeah, so it's fucking insanity, dude. It's really insanity to see. It's sad to see, again, like I said, it's sad to see Americans fall for this shit again. It's really sad. Like, it's really sad to see Americans get played for suckers. But hey, man, it's at what point, at what point are you just a moron, in my opinion? They lied to you about Syria. They lied to you about Iraq. They've lied to you about Afghanistan. They lied to you about Russia. They're lying to you about China. They lied to you about Vietnam. Every single fucking word they've lied to you about. And you're going to believe them now? Jesus Christ. Beginning 2015, the CIA's ground department arranged for Ukrainians to be trained in the U.S. South. The operations continue to the present and have been expanded under the Biden administration. The multi-week U.S.-based CIA program has included training in firearms, camouflage techniques, land navigation, tactics like cover and move, intelligence, and other areas. One senior officer is quoted as saying the United States is training an insurgency to kill Russians. Imagine if that was reversed and it was Russia is training an insurgency to kill Americans. Remember that bullshit Russian bounty story they were pushing, and how, you know, people lost their fucking minds over that. That's literally what we've been doing. This is why I say America is a big fucking projection machine. It's a big mirror. Everything they say about other countries, you know, every horrible thing they say every other country is doing, they're actually fucking doing. China's imprisoning Uyghurs by, you know, 1 million Uyghurs. Think about this. Think about this. The United States is claiming China is imprisoning 1.7 million Uyghurs, right? The United States will still have more prisoners than China if that's still the case. We have such, bro. It's fucking insanity. Oh, Russia doesn't respect Ukraine's sovereignty. You guys are literally occupying Syria right now. The first thing the current president did when he got in office was steal their oil. You're in Iraq illegally. They've asked you to leave multiple times. You finally left Afghanistan, but your fucking clowns from the CIA are still there running around. Fuck out of here with bro. Everything they say about every other country is always true about them. So that's actually the end of the article, and it's so good that he leaves on that note, because it's just so fucking telling, man. It's really so telling. Jesus Christ, man. Does anything work nowadays, guys? Holy mackerel. But yeah, so we're back here with it. Thanks, man. I hope you keep watching. But yeah, Millie, stay working. Energy Empire, you already know. No, I don't want to hide that. It's not showing me one of y'all tweet. Oh, okay, bad. Yeah. My bad. I had the mouse over like a dumbass. I don't know why my mouse is acting weird right now, but yeah. So it's very, you know, it's very telling to see that. It's not surprising, unfortunately, because like I said, this is the same thing they did to Syria. Same thing, you know, it's the same thing they do to every fucking country. Same thing they did to fucking Gaddafi. We're going to be talking about him later. You know, same thing they did to fucking Saddam Hussein. And, you know, Saddam wasn't a fucking angel, you know. And a lot of these people, you know, these people we talk about, they're not perfect people. I'm not pitching these people like they're perfect, but the alternative, which is fucking ISIS, who's running around cutting people's fucking heads off, I think the people would prefer Gaddafi over ISIS. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that. Call me crazy, you know. Call me a jihadist, but I think the people of Libya would prefer Gaddafi right now over ISIS.